This episode is powered by Anivia Pickleball. Based in the heart of Vancouver, BC, whether you're new to the game or a seasoned vet, they have the paddle for you. I myself am currently using their Voltex Gen 3 Pro, which comes in both mid and lightweight. A big thank you for the team at Anivia for taking a chance on me in this podcast. And for listeners of the podcast, if you enter AGorman15 at checkout, you get 15% off. Check out Anivia.com now. That's AGORMAN 15 at checkout. On with the show. All right, welcome back, everyone. We had a break there in February, but that was because me and Victor had a tournament. How's it going, Victor?
Good. How are you doing?
Good. A little tired from the weekend, but raring to go. So let's jump right into it. Before we get to the one we played together in, you had one earlier in the month. How was that one?
Oh yeah, yeah. So in St. Albert, basically Edmonton, St. Albert, basically here we Churchill usually run some tournament, and these days they have been running some team tournaments. So I'll explain quickly what team tournaments works. So basically, you gotta have a duper. So you have. For 4 people, you're gonna have a combined duper of 18 points. So how does it work? So if you're like me, I have a duper of like 4.9. You can plug in the other people together, but the maximum duper number for the 4 people must be 18 and cannot exceed the 18 point, basically. So that's how it works. And we play rally scoring. So rally scoring to 17 points. So therefore every point counts. There is no need of players switching sides. So when let's say I'm on the right side and Andrew is on the left side, we stay at the same side for the whole match. And another particularity is that I said was 17 point. So there is a freeze at 16. So means the team that is going for like you hit all the way to 16 points. They have a freeze. They have to score on their serve. They cannot score anymore. The trailing team, when it reaches 14 points, they will also have a freeze. So it means when, let's say it's 16-14, means both sides needs to serve in order to have be able to score a point. So it was kind of interesting. So it started with women's mix, women's doubles, men's doubles, and then you have 2 mixed matches. And if the score is still tied, like you have both sides won 2 matches, means you're gonna have to go to a dream breaker to 17 points, and each player has to play 5 points, and then they do a switch, and still same things. So rally scoring to 17 points, freeze at 16. So I first played at the 20s on the 27th of January. This is actually my first time playing some team tournaments, which is actually went pretty well. I have some pretty good partners also with me. I have Lester Lim as he is actually my regular men's partner. I got Jody Hennessy, and then I also have Diane Gibbs also with us. So there's total of that time we have a total of 10 teams. So therefore we have like a we got separate two sides. So side A, side B, which is 5 teams in side A and 5 teams in side B. And we actually won every matches on our side. and then unfortunately we lost. After that, we lost at the semifinal. So how the semifinal works, because since we're number 1 seed of side A, we play number 2 seed of side B. Unfortunately, we lost in the semifinals. Then we got to the bronze medal match, and we also unfortunately lost. And both semifinals and the bronze medal was in the Dream Breaker. Kind of a little disappointing, because the whole team, I was the only really singles player. The others does not play as much as singles. So, but we have a good time. We have a very good run. We have some very tough team that was playing against. But yeah, that's it. And unfortunately, my criticism, I would say my only criticism of this format is probably, especially at the semifinal and the finals, there is like no referee, and then there's a lot of kind of like close call, and unfortunately, when you don't have a referee or anyone to kind of enforce the rules, people do whatever they want, and sometimes that could cost you the match, unfortunately.
Oh yeah, exactly. I had the same instance when we played in one of the tournaments held by them in November last year. Had the same kind of thing happen.
Yeah, you told me about it, which is sometimes disappointing, but yeah,
it gets frustrating with that, and especially because we're now playing at a level where we're a lot more competitive. We're both playing in like 4.0 and up type style, and at that point, you really need the refs, because everything is so close that you really need the ref to be able to come in. So even if you just need a challenge, even if the ref upholds the other team's call, at least you have the option to challenge, right? Like it's never like a, coulda, woulda, shoulda type of thing. So that's my big thing with that. And then of course we played together in another exact same style tournament. Just last weekend. Now there was only 8 teams in this one, so instead of doing 2 pools, they did just round robin, and then the top teams finish where they finished. So you played 7 matches against the other teams. So a total of like, what do we play? 14 realistically, men. So you get 7 matches. You get a men's, you get a mix. So you played 14 matches. We had 3 of our things go to Dream Breakers.
Did we have 3 Dream Breaker?
I think we won 1 and we lost 2.
Yeah. Yes, I agree. Yeah, I think we played 3 Dream Breaker.
Yeah, and for those of you wondering, our partners were my wife Irene, and it was originally supposed to be Irene's regular women's partner, but my had to pull out at the last second. So we had Joanne from Grand Prairie step up, and she did an admirable job. But Joanne is like more of a 3-5 player still, whereas Irene and Mai are like 4-5 women's players, and Joanne, like I said, Joanne played pretty well. She did get on herself a little bit. Like you could see, there was a few times her confidence was getting the better of her, and the other teams picked up on that and picked on her a little bit. So I'm not saying that. I don't want to say that cost us, because that sounds like what I'm saying, but it wasn't that. Like it felt like there was games that were close that we probably could have pulled out. I know you and me had a game where we were up in men's.
Yeah,
and we kind of
I was watching it back.
I think you and me both had like 2 or 3 putaways that we just missed, which would have like ended the match. So, and then me and Irene had the same thing happen in a couple mixed matches, and then losing those Dream Breakers. There was one that was, what did we lose? Like it was 17-15 or something like that in one of those Dream Breakers.
We're losing pretty close, unfortunately. Just needed a couple more points.
And for those of you who are wondering, Victor is the better singles player out of me and Victor.
Well, Irene also is pretty good. Irene is pretty good too.
Our strategy going into Dream Breaker was have Victor and Irene go up front, so they'd be more likely to play twice, with me and Joanne holding up the rear. Because I play singles a little bit, but I'm still at what you would consider like a 3-0, 3-5 for singles, whereas Irene and Victor are probably in that 4.0 for singles, and then Joanne doesn't play singles at all. So that was one of the things she was up, but she with the exception of the very last one, where that other team pretty much almost had everyone who was pretty decent at singles, she held her own pretty good against the other 2 teams we played against. So
and it's also tough too, right? Because the other teams, they're all mostly from Edmonton. So basically, they have been practicing many times beforehand, right? And us, you guys are from Grand Prairie, and Joanne just joined in. It's a little difficult to right away get that chemistry going compared to the others. They like some of I know mostly all the other players from the other team. They have been practicing almost like for months together, or they have already played some tournaments together, so they knew their tactics and everything. So
yeah, exactly. It was kind of like watching me and Irene play mix in comparison to you and Joanne play mix, where you and Joanne had to figure each other out, whereas me and Irene have been playing with each other for 4 years.
Exactly.
So it was a little bit easier. Even you and me had our first like game and a half. It took us a second.
Yeah, it took us a little bit, but well, we still managed to win our first ones, right?
Yeah, exactly. I think because we only lost what the one men's? No, two. I think we lost two men.
We lost two men's, exactly. The one that was
the one
close.
the one where we didn't play very well at all.
Yeah,
and the other one, and then the other one was where we blew the lead. We had the game,
yeah,
and then we just missed the putaways. But
exactly, we had it. We just had it, and then whatever.
No, yeah, there was a couple matches where I looked at it after, and I was just like, oh, we should have won that. We should have won it shouldn't even have gone to Dream Breaker or whatever. We should have won like 3-1 or something like that, or even 4-0. But no, I had a lot of fun. It was fun playing with Victor. If Lester ever,
it was fun.
If Lester ever can't make a tournament, I've given Victor the free call Andrew card. So, for those of you who don't know, like I have Irene, but I do not have a consistent male partner for tournaments. So that's always been my issue going to tournaments. I've usually just tossed my name in a hat and I get whoever. But now that I'm trying to get my ranking up to at least match sort of Irene, because Irene's at a 4-5 now for women's doubles. Me and her are the exact same for mixed, but I'm still sitting at like a 3-5 for men's just because I've had a different partner every single time.
Yeah, and it's tough. If you don't have a consistent partner, then when the chemistry is not in, especially in the 4-0 level, it hurts right away because your opponent's gonna really target that part.
Yeah, and even more so in rally scoring when you don't have the advantage of, okay, I can be a little bit more aggressive because the worst things that's going to happen is I'll lose my serve, whereas every point matters.
Every point counts.
Yeah,
and and it just sucks. But no, it was fun playing with Andrew. Andrew was very solid and at blocking every speed up coming at him. He has his paddle right there, so it's like you speed it at him, it's game over. It's like it's gonna pounce at you.
That's my favorite when I run into bangers because then that's the ping pong background for me. I was that defensive guy when I played ping pong. So like people would be slamming and I'd be like 15 feet back from the table just doing chop returns until they wore themselves out. So I credit playing pickleball all through high school to that. So
no, that's great. That's great.
Yeah. So yeah, fun tournament, but like you said, as usual with with these tournaments, they don't have the refs. I think that's probably the next step because you have the amount of players always showing up for these ones now. So just to get that ref, even just for like the crossovers or the finals, would make it almost a perfect. It flowed so well. Like you weren't really sitting around for too long. Right. So and all the players at that point are good because it's not very often are you getting a team that's doing this just for fun. Everyone playing is pretty competitive. So you're always getting good matches. I think we had one team we played where, and I think it was more so because they had injuries. Because I remember Jorge messaged me when he was checking for team names and final roster spots. He had said that like they had like 3 or 4 teams, like 2 teams had to pull out due to injury, and then another 2 or 3 teams had to replace players last minute due to injuries or due to time constraints or whatever. So you could see 1 or 2 teams kind of punted in one category, whether it was the women's doubles or like one mixed pair. They kind of said, okay, this might be the team that'll lose, but we have the other side of our team kind of stacked. So
yeah,
you could see if they got home, they would kind of, okay, we're going to stick our worst team against the other team's best mixed team. We'll punt that match and we'll try to pull out a win against the other team. So, but other than that, it was still really fun though. I had a good time.
Would you say the playing 8 teams was better than playing 10 teams? So like 8 teams, we have to play everyone versus the others, which is 10 teams, but you actually only play like against 4 teams technically, unless you make it to the semifinals or finals, right?
No, yeah, that was the other thing. You like we said, we got seven matches against us. Well, 7 other teams we got to play against, but it came down to everybody got at bare minimum 14 matches.
Mm-hmm.
So that was like, I know I was toast by the time I got back to my hotel. I think Irene passed out at like 9 p.m. and like she never falls asleep at like 9 p.m. Like we went out for dinner with the kids, got to the hotel, like had a shower. Her head literally hit the pillow and she was out, and I think I was not that far behind her. So
oh my god!
So yeah, I was toast. I went to Irene the next day and I said, okay, I need to start getting back on the treadmill because I've been doing weights and stuff. I said I need to get that cardio up just a little bit more if I ever go to a tournament like that again, because I wasn't feeling gassed by that last match, but as soon as that match was over, my adrenaline dropped. I was like, okay, I'm done.
Yeah, it was tired. It was definitely tiring because there's so many matches, but at the same time, I felt it's all at the same time fun because you're able to play against everyone, so you're able to get a feel of everyone, seeing everyone's styles game compared to the other ones. Yeah, you have technically 10 teams, but you're technically gonna play maximum 6 teams rather than
and if you fluke out to a favorable draw where you happen to get the pool where, okay, my style of play is a big advantage over these teams in this pool, but then as soon as you go to a crossover, it's a team that might have given you a little bit more push. It's not the same. Whereas in this one, you literally played everyone. So there were some teams where our style of play like completely trounced the team, but then another team came in. We'd play a style with them, and it was like a super close match because the styles were basically bashing with each other. So. So it was fun. It was fun. It's good. It's good to I like that better because, like you said, you get to play so many different styles of play. Some teams were bangers. Some teams
agree.
Slow down game. Some people did a mix and match of both. Some teams stacked differently. Like there's a few teams where they had a lefty on the team, and most people when they have a lefty, they'll stack the lefty on the right so that paddle's in the middle. The one team stacked it the other way, so both players had their backhands in the middle. But then if you were dinking with them, you were dinking to their forehand no matter what. So I actually like that. The Toronto United team did that in the CNPL finals last year, and it paid dividends for them. So that's an interesting concept that I think a few more lefty players should look at.
Definitely. Makes sense. So
Pickleball Alberta announced at least all the schedule for all the known tournaments so far. Now, provincials aren't on there. I can pretty much say, oh wait, no, it is on there now.
No, it's on there. I added. I think Lester, my one of my partner told me was on there.
I don't think the date is right. I want to say it's in July.
Is it July? Because on Pickleball brackets is put it on.
It's on brackets now. Okay, yeah, I didn't check. Okay, cool. So
I checked yesterday on brackets.
So I knew it was in Red Deer like 3 months ago. It just we didn't have because for those of you who maybe haven't listened to the last couple of episodes, I am on the Pickleball Alberta board. We just couldn't announce it right away just because we had to cross the T's, dot all the I's, get a date selected. So because of course and then Red Deer also wanted to host their regular tournament as well. So that was kind of the scheduling issue with that. So it worked out. So we got the
double check on bracket. But actually, I have it right. It is the August 11 to the 13th.
Okay, perfect.
I got it right.
So it's basically So we got the provincials are there. We got Parkland doing their usual season opener one in June. Medicine Hat's doing their opening in July. Then Parkland again doing their Summer Smash in late July, the 19th to 21st. The Western Regionals will be in Vernon this year. We had discussed that last podcast. Red Deer's got their regular open, and the provincials right after that. St. Albert's got their tournaments mid-August. Nationals are going to be in Halifax. Maybe Victor will go to that if he gets it. You have enough? Are you high enough ref to get that paid for your flight?
Apparently I am, but I'm still waiting if they're gonna have it confirmed. If they have it confirmed, then I'm going.
Oh, okay. You need to if you go, you need to take some videos for us, and so you.
I will definitely.
You can be the updater this year for Nash. Unless I get some type of a sponsorship deal where it flies me out there for free, I don't think I'll be able to go. That's an expensive flight.
Yeah. So do you want to go to the? Do you want me to go for the date exactly? So people knows.
Yeah, you can run through the dates really right off the
So
top, and then we can kind of end there because other than that, we don't have much
no, we can skip
much
through the
other stuff
rest.
for the rest of it. Okay, go ahead.
So technically, the season start in June 8th to 9th, which is that's a non-sanctioned tournament for Red Deer and St. Albert, and then we have the season over in the Parkland Picklehead, so which is the Spruce Grove. This is a sanctioned tournament, June 21st to the 23rd. Apparently, me and Lester will be playing on this one. And then we have the Medicine Hat Open in July 5th to the 7th. This is another sanctioned tournament. Right a couple of weeks after. So if you guys are really playing tournaments, you gotta get busy. Take a good listen to it. Okay, July 19th to the 21st, you have the 12th annual Summer Slam from the Spruce Grove Parkland, so sanctioned. The week after July 25th to the 28th, you have the Western Regional at Vernon, BC, which is sanctioned again. The couple weeks after, you have on August 8th to 11th, you have the Red Deer Open, again the sanction. Right after right after, you have on from August 11th to the 13th, you have the Alberta Provincial at Red Deer, so that's almost like a back-to-back. The week after, you have on August 16th to the 18th, you have the St. Albert Pickle Party, another sanctioned tournament. Right after the week, after that week, you have August 20th to the 24th, the Nationals in Halifax, obviously sanctioned. And after that, in September, those are more members only. So it's September 14th to 15th. It's gotta be for the Parkland Picklehead, and for the St. Albert and Red Deer, it's gonna be this on September 21st to the 23rd. So I will say from the August, the July and August period, basically, if you're craving of playing tournaments, you got it.
That's not to mention the eventual CNPL and CPA Pro Tour tournaments that have yet to be announced.
Exactly, it's gonna be wild, my friend.
Yeah, it's gonna be a busy summer, that's for sure. All right, so let's jump into probably for Canada-wise the biggest news dump. One of these things for CNPL, because one of these things got announced literally 2 days after we did our last podcast. Which I sent Yui a message saying, really, you couldn't have done this like 2 days earlier. But so CNPL, they had the first ever trade in the CNPL. The Rush traded Nathan Choi, who was the 29th overall pick last year, to the Brewers for Christina Chin, who was the 3rd overall pick. So that's a huge trade, first of all, because now the Rush are getting one Christina Chin. And she was a phenomenal player last year for the Brewers. And then Nathan Choi was one of those big dark horse players, which most people hadn't heard of him until the CNPL season. I got to see him play last year in the qualifiers, and like I said on the podcast last year, this was before Victor joined. He was my vote to be like one of those steals of the draft. Honestly, if the Toronto United team hadn't won the whole thing with Matthew Quanamoto being picked literally just before Nathan Choi, because I think Quanamoto was picked at like 28th or 27th. So I ended up giving Matthew Quanamoto the award for that. Nathan Choi probably would have gotten that award, just because like out of nowhere he came in, and he was a big part in the Rush having as much success as they did last season. And we'll come back to this trade in a minute here. So the other things that got announced for the CNPL, they announced the general managers for the teams. So the Rush, Brett Forsyth is back. This will be his second year as the GM. He also plays for the Rush. The Toronto United team, Ricky Loretti, who's same thing, second year, and he's re-signed the entire team back, so they're trying to run it back again. They also probably had the best social media account out of all the teams. Like Brewers probably would have been like a far and away second. They by far were the most active on social media, getting followers and all that stuff. Ricky also has a massive podcast in Toronto that's very popular. It's called the Palace Podcast. So he's used that platform to help propel the the Toronto United with that. The Lions, Jay Delavere's second year. He's a pro player, and I saw him at the events. I don't know how involved he is with picking the teams and stuff because I know the owner last year put himself on the team. And I don't know how much Jay is into actually picking a team or if he was there more so kind of as like a coach at the event because he was there talking to the players and stuff while the games were going on. But we'll see how the Lions go because once we get to the signings.
Yeah, last year I don't think they don't have a as good result as I was expected. Like I was assuming they have Jay. I was like, oh, you got a pro PPA player should go decently. And while I was seeing some of the players, like, oof.
Yeah,
players are good, but not the team dynamic was not as good.
No, Jay didn't play. Like he was pretty much there as coach, kind of like how Steve Deacon was there for the Wolverines.
Yep.
And they had Kim Layton last year on the team, and but they didn't surround her with the best quality. And plus, like I said, the owner picked himself and put him on the team, and he's like 50 plus.
Yeah, that.
Like I said, he's good. He's a good player. He's probably really good on the pro circuit or the senior circuit down in the States. But once you're playing against 20-year-olds, even 30-year-olds, and even early 40-year-olds, it catches up with you.
Yeah, well, same as Steve. If people has followed the PPA, like Steve Deacon has been a very steady PPA pro player, but unfortunately, the age is catching up to him, and suddenly you have all new players like the 15, 19-year-old that come into the scene and just beat you out on hand speed and everything, and unfortunately, it's just. You can't compare, unfortunately.
No, yeah, and Father Time is still undefeated, so and it will start to show. The Brewers, Brent Shepley is in his second year. I did see him on the court. I think he had more of a thing with picking the team. The players kind of coached themselves. I know last year just from watching the games and talking to some of the players. Pronghorns, they have a new one. This is an interim manager, Sean McCartan. If you want to see, if you want to see these managers' profiles, if you go to the CNPL website, they have a full kind of little dossier written up on all these on the GMs on their website. Rollers, Corey, and I'm gonna butcher this last name, Sigvaldinsson, is also being brought in as an interim manager. I think this is a good idea for the Rollers because the two owners put themselves on the team in the last year. And I like I said, I don't want to be ageist again, but it showed. It showed that like I said, good players, they're probably better than me, but when you're playing pro against these younger, faster players, it showed up. Hence, with the roll, like even though the Rollers pulled off that upset in the playoffs, they finished with like what was it like a 3-11 record on the season. So if it wasn't for every team making the playoffs, they wouldn't have been in the playoffs. Moving on to the Smash, same thing. Interim general manager Lee Whitwell. Same thing. If you want to get her full dossier, head to the website. Wolverines didn't have one announced, so I don't know if Steve Deacon's going to be doing it. I'm assuming he was it last year. He was at all the events. He was sitting on the bench coaching the players and stuff. So they didn't really make an announcement on that, but I'm going to assume it's Steve Deacon until it's posted otherwise. So interesting because we have a bunch of second years. Most of the second years are all teams that did fairly well in the tournament. The Pronghorns didn't have a manager at all last year. It was just kind of player organized, so it's nice to see them get one because they finished well. And then the Rollers and the Smash getting one should help. And then also with the addition of teams having 6 players this year instead of just 4 should also help the teams because you can see at a few of the events where players couldn't show and they were bringing in alternates. If there's already backup players selected who are then going to be practicing with the teams and with the other players, it'll make it for better matches for when alternates do have to come in.
Yeah, I agree.
And now there was just a mass signing mass signings this past week. I guess they wanted to get all these players announced and signed. I'm assuming before the qualifiers, because the what was it? The central qualifier was this last weekend in Ontario.
Yes.
So yeah, so that one was last weekend. So yeah, so for the signed players, we already know that Toronto United signed all 4 of their players back. So Hannah Blatt, Carolina Hack, Mark Gottfried, and Matthew Quanamoto. So they're running it back. So they're only going to have to select 2 players, probably a male and a female, as backups. The Toronto Smash re-signed Dalbier, Jordan Vigna, and Leah Bradwell. Those 3 all played for the Smash last year, and they've re-signed them. So the only one they only didn't re-sign one person. For the Rush, Kim Layton has actually signed with the Rush, so she didn't re-sign with the Montreal Lions. She is now signed with the Vancouver Rush. Brett Forsyth is re-signed as well, and then of course they traded for Christina Chin, so they have Kim Layton, Christina Chin, and Brett Forsyth. So I'm assuming because of those signings that the Walker sisters are not going to be in the CNPL this year, because the one sister was on the Rush and the other one was on the Wolverines. So the fact that neither of them got re-signed, I'm assuming they're going to be so preoccupied with their PPA that that they're not going to have time to come up. Because right now, I know every time they go into at least women's doubles, they're like ranked like 19th, 18th ish. So they're in the top 20 now. So I got a feeling they're just going to be too busy to come and play in the CNPL this year.
And I think they got some sponsorship too, so that's probably why.
They're both sponsored now by
Proton.
Proton, yeah, because I know one was sponsored by Proton, the other one was by Head, but then they're both with Proton. So, Pronghorns have re-signed Kim Brent and Brad Chapman. Those were the only 2 they re-signed. And then for the Wolverines, they signed Joelle Pelche and Haddo Thal back, so they got their men's team back. Didn't make any signing, and that was the other one where one of the Walker sisters was on. So that's the other thing that's telling me that the Walker sisters aren't going to be back playing this year. And then for the Brewers, they only re-signed Mark Clemenson. So this brings me to a very interesting thing now. The Brewers made a trade for Nathan Choi, trading away Christina Chin, but then decided not to
re-sign him.
Nathan Choi. And I'm assuming it's for draft reasons. Because obviously if you keep players, because the draft order for this year is Lions, Rollers, Smash, Brewers, Pronghorns, Rush, Wolverines, and then United in that order. Right. And then and I'm pretty sure it's snake draft model because that's what they did last year. So I'm assuming if you're keeping players, you probably lose those first spots in your picks. I'm kind of similar if anyone here plays like fantasy, like basketball, baseball, hockey. Usually if you're doing a snake draft, but if you're playing in a league that does keeper players and you like play continuously in the same league multiple seasons, if you keep a player on your team and not let them go back into the draft, you lose that draft pick in the snake. And so basically just that counts as your pick for that round or whatever. So because of that, so Nathan's going to go back into the draft, which, like, honestly, I'm surprised. If I was the Rush, you could have totally done a 2 for nothing deal. Re-sign Nathan, then you have Christina Chin, Kim Layton, who played together at nationals and won.
Yeah, that's I was about to say they
so you have the national gold medal team in the women's already. And Nathan and Brett played pretty well together, and like not to give a shot to Brett, but Brett out of the 2 of them was the weaker link during the playoffs at least. Like Brett played very formidable throughout the season, but if you go back and watch my commentary on the championship weekend, I found he was a step behind a little bit. Like he got body bagged a fair bit. They were attacking his backhand a lot. So that surprised me. So I wouldn't be surprised if Nathan gets picked high in this next draft by one of the other teams. I wouldn't be surprised, especially with Brad already being off the board and a couple other people. Now, depending also on if some of the players who didn't sign in for CNPL last year and now maybe they're entering in, like I don't know if Ernesto is putting his name in the hat. I know he's with the CPA. But nothing in signing with the CPA says you can't play in the CNPL. Obviously, as if we look at the rest of the roster, almost every single person in there plays in the
From
CNPL, right?
CNPL, exactly.
So I wouldn't be surprised if Ernesto threw his name in the hat for that. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets picked really high as well. And if I remember correctly, I think him and Mark played together and got like third or silver or something in the Open at Nationals, if I remember correctly. I might be not remembering that right, but
I'm not sure about that.
But yeah, because of that reasoning, I got to question Brett Shepley, the general manager's decision making there. Like, you just traded away the third round or the third overall pick for nothing. Realistically, if you didn't re-sign Nathan, you traded like the third highest picked female in the league. Well, actually, now number 2, because if Alex Walker isn't coming back, because it was Alex Walker, Kim, then Christina picked. So the Rush now have number 1 and number 2 females in the entire league, right? Like, so I gotta question the management decision making on that. You trade away the second highest ranked woman in the league for nothing.
Yeah,
and you got one player, so now you have to redraft almost the entire team.
Everyone.
So now and the Rollers and the Lions are both didn't re-sign anyone, so they're just starting fresh. Now they have the top 2, the number 1 and number 2 picks, so they can pick whoever they want. So yeah, I'm gonna take a guess and say if Ernesto's in there, the Lions are gonna pick him because the Lions are from Montreal, and just for the namesake of Ernesto's from Quebec, the Lions are from Montreal, and just for like practicing purposes, that'd be a smart pick. Aside from not even regarding how good Ernesto actually is, right? But so that's the other big that's the big thing with that. So I'm interested to see how the draft goes. Fingers crossed that me or Irene get picked, but I have to play well to actually get game in for that, because me and Irene will be going to the qualifier at the end of the month here for the Western qualifiers. So I'll probably run into Nathan there, because Nathan's probably going to have to go to that to get his name back into the draft. I'm not sure how that works if you were already on a team, if you have to go back into the qualifiers.
I have a feeling they still go to the qualifiers, because I was Sorry, go ahead. I was looking at some matches of that central qualifiers, and I'm seeing the Kawamotos was there. So I was like, interesting. Why they're playing in there?
Well, that would probably be Jessica, seeing how she didn't resign with anyone, even though Matt's resigned. Jessica played for the Rollers last year, and obviously she didn't get resigned. I wouldn't be surprised if she gets picked pretty high now too. So, because she played insanely well.
Oh yeah, she's really good.
Right. Like, yeah, her Emily, who played for the Rollers last year, I wouldn't be surprised if they get picked pretty high. Casey Rogers, now she is still in Australia as we are recording this, because she did play in the MLP. What was it, 2 weeks ago?
Yep.
In Australia, so I don't know if how long the MLP in Australia is going for this year, if she's there for the whole time or if she's there for a little bit and then she's going to come back and play in the CNPL. She is signed to the CPA Pro Tour, so we know she's going to be at least back for that. But we'll see if she's going to be back and going to be going into the CNPL this year. I
agree. It's going to be a question mark, but we'll get into it, because Australia also is starting up some stuff. So we'll get back into it.
And then the only other big announcement from the CNPL, not that last little bit wasn't a crap ton. The Rush have they've moved. They've moved to Vancouver, so instead of being the Rocky Mountain Rush, they're now the Vancouver Rush. They were based out of kind of Vernon, anyways, so it's not that big of a change. But
Vancouver gave them more money because of it?
Maybe, yeah. I wonder if they found a spot in Vancouver to practice and they got some more naming rights or something like that. That'd be interesting. But either that or Poach moved its headquarters to Vancouver. Maybe so, because Poach is Brett Forsyth's company, and they do own the team. So, that might be the reasoning behind that. So moving on to the CPA Pro Tour. So we got the first stop announced. It's going to be in Oshawa, right in Toronto at the High Sports facility, which comes no surprise, seeing how High Sports is a major sponsor and a bunch of their athletes are playing in this league.
Yep.
It's going to be June 5th to 9th. And you can actually go on Pickleball Brackets right now. And if you're in the Toronto area or the surrounding area, you can actually sign up. From what I can see, like the pro players who are signed to this obviously play in the pro division, but it looks like anyone can join the pro level spot if you think you're good enough to play in that and you weren't a signed player. Because like I clicked on it really quick just to kind of see, and it let me click the pro level men's and the pro level mixed. Normally, when there's like normally like if you go to like say the nationals in Canada, if you're like a 3-5, it won't let you click 4-5.
Yeah, exactly.
On Pickleball Brackets, right? So by the looks of it, like there's going to be the 24 signed players that are getting paid to be there. But then if anyone else wants to get their name in and maybe get looked at the pro level, if you think you can bang with the pros, you can sign up in that division. They do have all of the amateur levels, the 3.0 all the way up to like 4-5 and that stuff in there. So I'm interested to see. It is a 4-day event, so I got a feeling they're going to maybe do maybe the amateur stuff early. Actually, no, because if they're doing a 4-day, I wouldn't be surprised that maybe they do the amateur stuff on the weekend when people have time off, and the pros kind of do it staggered throughout the whole way, so that's a constant draw.
I see.
But it'll be interesting.
So far there's only 23 people signed. Interesting. Sign up for the tournament.
Yeah, and it only just got announced. What was it, like 3 days ago? So, it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see. They don't even have all the pros signed up in there yet. Like I think Christina Chin and Ernesto are signed up in the pro. But that doesn't surprise me because they're high sports athletes, so they would have known right away when it got posted. So they would have been able to plug their thing in. But yeah, we'll see how quickly it fills up. It's not till June. So most tournaments happening in June right now on Pickleball Brackets, you can't even sign up for until like April. So people are probably looking at that and thinking, "Oh, registration's probably not even open yet." If you go by the regular way that Pickleball Brackets operates, because I know like Western regionals are like the end of July, and you can't sign up for that until like mid-April.
No, you can't. Yeah, exactly.
Right. So I'm gonna go with that. That's kind of the case with that, and we'll see how it fills up as we go. Who knows? By the time I come back from the CNPL qualifiers, we might be able to look on there for the next podcast and be like, oh yeah, there's like 300 people signed up. So, so who knows? The other big signings for the CPA Pro Tour. So Emily, who played for the Rollers in the CNPL last year, is signed up. Brett Forsyth, owner of the Rush, is signed up. Casey Rogers, like we said when we were talking about CNPL, she is going to be playing in the CPA Pro Tour. So she will be coming back from Australia to play in that. And then this is funny. So they put their little highlight video for the announcement for Toronto. And I noticed when I paused the frame, there was two profile pictures on there, which they technically haven't announced yet on their socials. So breaking news. Joel Pelletier of the Wolverines from the CNPL is obviously signed for the Pro Tour, and Jordan Vigna, who played for the Smash and the CNPL, are also going to be playing in that. So no surprise that they're playing that. Both very, very good players. Both played for the CNPL. So, and like we've said before, the CPA Pro Tour has a lot of the same ownership group as the CNPL. So they're already familiar with these players and what a draw some of these players are. So it's no surprise that you're seeing a lot of crossover between CNPL and the CPA Pro Tour.
Yeah, definitely. I'm excited to see our own professional tour, because we definitely needed to propose our sport in Canada.
No, exactly. And with the bit of a gong show that Pickleball Canada is right now, it's nice to at least have the sport growing in the pro sense. Because I know for as far as between Pickleball Canada and the provinces, I know there's some issues with that, with organization and sponsorships and stuff like that. So hopefully with everyone seeing how fast this is growing with these pro tours and stuff like that, maybe Pickleball Canada and all the provinces together can get their stuff together and say, hey, we need to be unified and have a good thing on this, so that way pickleball can eventually get into the Olympics. So because that's the ultimate goal, is to see pickleball in there, and because that would just be awesome to like see that sport progress that far.
To just go there, and
Yeah.
that's what I think you in US what they're doing. People was a little bit fed up with the USAP not progressing or just treating the pro tour player well. So that's why the PPA and APP was formed, in order to kind of be able to push the sport to another level.
Yeah, and like the big and you've seen now steps from the US pickleball, whatever the proper name for it is. You've seen them starting to improve stuff because they've partnered with the APP now to make it better and stuff. Because realistically, with the Global Pickleball Federation, that's the entity that's pushing for pickleball in the Olympics, with all of the countries unified. It's Canada Pickleball and the US Pickleball that are the members of that. It's not CPA Pro Tour. It's not PPA. It's not APP. These are the entities that are representing these countries in this Global Pickleball Federation. So they need to get their crap together if they're going to be good members of this, and that organization can then progress to the point where, hey, we can go to the Olympic Committee and be like, hey, look how big this sport is. These are all the countries that are a part of it. It's a good sport. Let's get it into the Olympics type of thing. So they need to sort out that stuff really quick. And that is one of the growing pains with being the fastest growing sport in North America, is you grow faster than how you can adjust your policies and all that stuff. Like, one of the best example is a small town turning into a city way quicker than it was supposed to, but still has that small town mentality.
Yeah.
For those of you who live in Alberta, Grand Prairie is a perfect example of that. And I can say that because I lived there for quite a few years. But it is a fairly big size city now, not quite the size of Red Deer. So if you were going to go city size, it would probably be, Calgary, Edmonton, Red Deer's probably around there. And then Grand Prairie isn't quite as big as Red Deer, but it's getting there. But it still is a very farmer, small town mentality as far as like what time businesses are open till and certain policies that they have in place and stuff like that. It's just, it is, like it was like that when I lived there. I haven't lived there since 2009, but my brother still lives there, and it's still kind of like that. They're getting better, but it's a slow progress. But they grew so quickly with the oil boom that it went from this tiny town to this massive big city way too fast. So I kind of feel that's what's happening to pickleball now. Like, just from my experience of being on the Alberta board, us having to make policies that, if you were thinking about, policies should have been in place years ago, but because it was like 4 years ago there was 500 members in pickleball.
Right now, I don't even know, count the thousands.
And that we passed 10,000 last year.
Wow.
Right. So in 4 years, you went from 400 to 10,000 members. Right. So it's just so obviously growing super, super fast. Sometimes you don't get the policies up and running quick enough. And I have a feeling that's what's happening with pickleball, both in Canada and the US right now. So hopefully they can get that stuff sorted out.
Yep. Agree.
Victor, any update on the NAPP stuff?
So I talked to Jorge about it. So apparently they're supposed to have a February stop somewhere, and they couldn't make it because there's a lot of players was not available in February. So they did postpone it in April. I also asked Jorge, you're talking about that, because he was talking to me about, we got to do it in a new facility in West Edmonton. And then I kind of inquired him about it and said, well, he's kind of saying is kind of in a limbo, and he's probably gonna open in May instead of April. So I think he's right now kind of deciding where he's gonna put his new NAPP tour. So we'll see.
Okay, yeah. So yes, and it's tough when you don't have a facility, because the paddle room is nice for like a tournament for you and me to play in, but for pros, especially if you want an audience watching, the paddle room's a little too small for that. So
it's too small.
Right.
And even the South Hub, the new pickleball hub in Edmonton, South Edmonton, just myself, I felt like it's too crowded. Yes, they have technically they have 7 courts that is playable courts, but it's way too tight, and there's no space for spectator basically. So it's just, it's not going to be as fun for a like if you want to make it as a spectator show and anything, you can't do it. You need more space.
Yeah, exactly. And I can definitely confirm that the as much as I like playing in them, the paddle room was narrow. I have a bruise on my arm to prove it from when I smashed into the wall trying to get to a pickleball. So
unfortunately, yeah, we have to play with the limitation of the court right now.
yeah, exactly. All right, moving on. So Victor, we got some PPA updates.
Yeah, I was just gonna skip through those ones. We have been a long time haven't got our podcast, so there's already 2 tournaments from PPA that have passed by. So first one was the PPA Desert Ridge Open. This one. They went to a regular draw instead of their progressive draw. So regular draw means they have to play the whole let's say it's the men's double, they have to play the whole men's double till the semifinals the whole day, instead of the progressive draw, which means one day you play quarterfinals for men's, women's, mix, and single one day, and then next day you're gonna play semifinals. So they went back to the regular draw. This one in men's singles, so you got Federico Stasgro, who defeated Jaume Martinez-Vic. It was a very good match. It was a very entertaining match. Again, unfortunately, Ben Johns got beat, and he got beat by Jaume Martinez-Vic, who people doesn't know him. So if you want to hear from the Pickleball podcast, I think it's 2 podcasts ago, Zane did a good interview with Jaume. He grew up in Mallorca, so in Spain, where Rafael Nadal is from. So he was at some time of a hitting partner for Rafael Nadal. So that's why he's very good at singles. And therefore, it's kind of makes sense that he beat Ben. But still, at the same time, like Ben John should be number 1, and he still got beaten. So he's still human, unfortunately.
Oh, that's never a bad thing. It's good to have variety.
Yeah, exactly. And then, unfortunately, the women's side is a different story. Women's side, you still have Andy Waters. That's you can't beat her. You just can't beat her, unfortunately. She defeated Maria Brascia. And then in women's doubles, you have the Johns brother who beat the McGoffin and Decobar. The only interesting match was McGoffin and Barr versus Lang and Navarro in the semifinal. That match was pretty entertaining. There's just, if you like body bag, that's the match. Body bags everywhere, just body bags everywhere. Everyone was just aiming for body bags, not even aiming for anything else. So it was kind of interesting.
Yeah, I got you. So women's doubles, Waters and Perito take out Wright and Dazan. They're on a 60 match undefeated streak. So at this point, it's cool. It's almost like the if for those of you who are wrestling fans, it's like the Undertaker's WrestleMania 21-0 streak type of thing is what this comes down to. Now you're conflicted. You don't want it to end, but you also want it to end.
Yeah,
type of thing. It's even though it's not like WWE where it's a known outcome. But this is getting to the point where I'm like, okay, I want to see them hit 100 first before they lose. They're already over halfway there now. I'm like, okay, let's see this record get made, and then no one be able to break it. It's kind of like Gretzky's point record in hockey. No one's gonna come close. Ovechkin's might barely pull out the goals, but the total points, no one's touching. And that's basically how their streak is looking right now.
Exactly. They're at for this tournament. They're at 60 match and undefeated streak. With that, the Kawamoto sister actually almost beat them. They had them. They had them at the third game at 8-2, and they just stormed back 11-8. So it's just they're mentally they're just so good. And then the mixed, yeah. And then mixed doubles, well, you have the same old, unfortunately, again. Waters and Johns, who beat Anna Bright and James Ivanovic. Yeah, so therefore, in that tournament, Italy Waters won her 22nd Triple Crowns. And we're not done yet. And then you go for the next tournament, PPA Mesa. A little bit the same thing happened, except the men's singles side. So people are saying now, I think in the men's singles is actually the most becomes more interesting because now you have more variety compared to before. So now this time, in the men's single, Ben Johns did storm back and wins the men's singles against Federico Stasgro. Another thing that was interesting to make, the Jack Sox did meet his second semifinals of the year in a row. So which is pretty good for a guy that didn't play a lot. That's a pretty awesome result.
Give him another year, and he's gonna be pushing Ben to the limit here, especially in singles.
He's really getting there.
Yeah.
Women's, unfortunately, you still have Annalie, who defeat again Maria Brachas. Men's double. So this one we got an upset. Finally, we got an upset. So the Johns got beat by Diascu and Tardio. So therefore, and usually when people beat the Johns brothers, and then they usually lose at the next round. Not this time. These guys made it to the final, but unfortunately they got beaten by Johnson. So to J.W. Johnson and Dylan Fraser. It's kind of expected because if you know, we call it the Johnson 5. So who's the Johnson 5? Had J.W. Johnson, Georgia Johnson, Dylan Fraser, and then you have I'm blanking her first name, Rain, and then you have Gabe Tardio. Those are the 5 people that always practiced together with the Johnsons, with her mom as a coach. So unfortunately, Johnson and Fraser know how Tardio was playing. So it's a little bit like remember me and you playing against Leicester. I know how Leicester plays, so I just
and I've played against Leicester enough times and Ben enough times as well that I knew, like, we knew where to hit and what to avoid and stuff like that. So yeah,
exactly. So just it's unfortunate, but that was a good good run for them. Mixed doubles, unfortunately, no big change again. The Waters and Johns won again against the Thomas Wilson and David. So, however, if on the semifinals, Jack Soft and Parental almost beat Ben Johnson and Waters. But I think it's just that Jack Soft was just a little bit of an inexperience and a little bit of impatience that cost him the match, because he had a couple pull away that could have ended the match, and that little bit was enough for the Waters and Johns to take over.
Yeah.
So
and with her playing with Waters as much as she does, she's probably starting to know where to hit to Annalie, and of course playing her all the time in singles as well. Because if she's not playing her in the final, she's playing her in like the semifinals or something like that.
Yeah.
So,
well, actually, in that match, it wasn't really Catherine that was threatening Andalie. Was actually Sox that was threatening Andalie, because Jack Sox was really hitting hard at Andalie, and Andalie didn't have any answer for almost 2 games, except on the 3rd game she kind of figured out how to counter his flick, his forehand flick, and then that cost Jack Sox the match, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But anyway, so, and that again, PPA loves to change, right? So this time they went to a progressive draw. So the players were really complaining. It's like, can you guys just decide whatever you guys gonna do? Like, this is getting crazy. So, in a player's perspective, it's very tough, because like if you're playing a regular draw, like okay, usually I not gonna make the final, so I can book my hotel like till Saturday, and I can leave. But now, if a progressive draw, you don't know anymore. Like you have to start playing on Wednesday instead of Thursday already, and then depending on your result, you might you can leave until probably Saturday and Sunday. So a lot of players are saying, well, that's a big financial constraint to me, unless PPA you're willing to pay for my accommodation. But otherwise, how am I
if you go
gonna
on a
book?
heater when you're not used to going on a heater, all of a sudden you're playing until Sunday when normally you're like,
Exactly.
okay, well, I'm normally making it to the top 10. I'm normally out by Friday afternoon, so I'll book till Saturday morning, like check out Saturday morning. And then now it's like, okay, well, I'm starting Wednesday. I could be done as early as Thursday if I don't go on a heater, but I have booked till Saturday type of thing, right? So
yeah. Or another possibility. Some people does not, let's say, does not play singles or does not play mix or either one. They know, okay, there's a day I don't need to play, or so I don't need to book my trip till that day. But now with the progressive draw, well, you're gonna have to play every day because you have the all 3 event at the same day. So you're like, okay, so what am I gonna do? And also mentally it's very difficult because now you have to suddenly plan, okay, how, like, it's almost like playing a team event. I have to plan playing men's, I have to play mix, and then I have to plan at the same time playing singles. So you're like, oh my God.
no,
It's
exactly.
tough. It's tough. Anyway. So and one more thing about this one. Hopefully, PPA does not make the mistake again. Unfortunately, on Tuesday, they have some new people commentating on the PPA.
Oh, I heard about that. Yeah. Oh my.
Yeah, it was a little bit ouchy. So I find out the 2 commentators' name. One of the commentators, Jim Cross, is very active, very actually vocal on social media, especially on Facebook. And then you have the females, Laura Fenton Covenda. So, and she's actually a pretty established pickleball player. But for some reason, some of the comments has been a little bit over the board. I can say that.
Yeah, I heard some people posting about how she was making comments about oh yeah, once you get pregnant or something like that, you're not going to be good anymore. I think like, well, yeah, things that are very, very overloaded.
Yeah.
And you're like, hey, why are you talking about this? Like, talk about, like, comment on the game. Like,
Exactly.
yeah, there was a few. Yeah, I saw a few posts on Twitter by multiple different pickleball pros and stuff that they were saying, okay, get these people off the air right now type of things.
Yeah, the memes of pickleball was right on it. I was right on it. So it was, and then she responded back to all those criticism. So she made a pretty long post after it. Apparently, she's trying to use her. I think she has like some sort of medical degree or some sort, and then she was trying to explain about the hormones and stuff like that. I was like,
So she wasn't apologizing; she was doubling down on it.
yeah, she was doubling down. I was like, oh my God, that's not looking good. And then people was just making fun. It's like, oh, how Jack Sock beat Tyson McGoffin out because Jack Sock had 1 kid and McGoffin has 4 kids, so that's why he beat him. Like, I was like, come on, guys.
I'm like, have you not watched like Serena Williams?
Oh
like,
yeah.
In pro tennis, like she had, like, I know like right before she won her last tournament, didn't she like just get out of the hospital and like to the point where like she was bedridden because there was complications with the pregnancy and stuff, and then she comes back and freaking wins one of the Grand Slams or something like that. I'm like, plus you have so many pro female NHL players, pro female basketball players. Like, pick a pro sport where there's like top female athletes. I can guarantee almost every single one of them are a mother.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just like, I'm like being a mother is not a detriment to you being an athlete. Obviously, yes, you go through like hormone changes because of the pregnancy and stuff. Hence, like, I can use my wife as an example.
Well, actually, it's even worse than that. So I'll give you the exact details. So what was happening is she's saying one of the female only have 1 child, so that's why her level was good. But as soon as you're gonna have a second child, your level drops drastically. So I was like,
that's
people was like, what the heck?
That's so stupid. No, it's, well, I want to know, okay, what were the ages of these women she was using this example for? Because guess what? if you're going by on average when people are having kids now, so people are having kids later in life now, so like early 30s. So yeah, by the time you have that second kid, you're like what, 35, 36? So I'm sorry, that's not having the kid that's doing that. That's father time catching up to
Exactly.
you
Father
type
time
thing.
away to get a second child or
Yeah.
something.
No, yeah,
Anyway.
but yeah, it's that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life. Like,
Yeah, I was like,
and like I said,
yeah,
I go back to Serena Williams because how old is she now?
just
Like
over 40s.
yeah, just over 40, and she had her last child. Like what was it, 3 years ago ish?
Something like that.
Yeah, so she had her last child in her late 30s. Had complications during the pregnancy, and within a month of that, came back and won a Grand Slam. So I don't really see a drop off there. Where you start to see a drop off for her, she started having more nagging injuries, but that's father time catching up. That's not because she had a kid.
Yeah, and just by playing more, you're gonna have those
Yeah.
complications, right?
Well, yeah,
Or
you're
whatever.
pushing your body to the max in these pro sports. So like, injuries are a thing, nagging, reoccurring injuries as a thing. I can speak from experience right now because I pulled a muscle in my neck like a month or two ago. I've been using K-tape and stuff for like a month and a half
Oh,
now.
that's why you have the patches. That's why
That's why I had the yeah, that's why I had the
I was
patches on the
almost
back.
like
Yeah.
asking you, like, did you have a medicine patches on it? But I didn't.
No, yeah,
I didn't.
they were like heat patches to try and
I
keep
see.
my
I
neck
see.
muscles loose because I don't know if I did like a quick dodge from like a body bag or something, but like if I turn my neck the one way right now, I can feel it from like my ear down through my neck and over to my shoulder type thing. So
Oh man,
I know I've pulled a muscle there. And like,
I see.
I'm massaging it and I'm relaxing it, but I'm gonna be 37 this year. I'm not 24 or 18 anymore where okay, I did that last week. This week it's healed. Now it takes longer for those type of injuries to heal. So, I gotta take precautions. I gotta, I use a massage gun or a neck massager on my neck every night. If I'm gonna go play pickleball, I use like some type of K tape or Healy tape or whichever, or heat patches or whatever. Keep the muscles loose, make sure I stay super hydrated, make sure I stretch it so I don't re-aggravate the injury because it takes longer to heal. But that comes with age. It doesn't come with having kids. Like,
No, it's
oh my
exactly.
God. That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. I'm like, okay, let's call up like freaking Marie-Philippe Poulin or whatever from the PWL, who's been like the greatest Canadian female player for the past like 2 decades, who has kids. And I'm like, oh yeah, she's totally slowed down. Not there's a reason why she's called Captain Clutch. She literally scores in every big main game ever. Like that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah, I was. Anyway, I think PPA noticed it, and they actually Connor Pardo did mention it on social media is gonna get addressed, so that's a good thing.
Yeah, well, like if you're not going to talk about the game, like I would
Don't
rather
talk about anything else.
yeah, like talk about the game happening or give tips and tricks, advice, like talk about the sport. The whole point of you being on the broadcast is to promote the sport. Like
Yeah.
I only did one game broadcasting for the CNPL, but all I was talking about the entire time was like what's happening during the game, what, like tips and tricks, or like I was talking with why am I blanking on the names right now? But I was talking with my fellow broadcaster who runs a pickleball academy, and he's talking about, oh yeah, I'm like, yeah, oh that was a good idea. Like where a player missed a shot, and he's like, yeah, he goes, yeah, I normally would have liked to see her bend her knees a little bit more, do a little bit more flick of the wrist, and that way the ball rose over. So it was the right idea. But now if you fix the form, that's going to do the shot, right? Or we would talk about, what's happening during that split. Oh, this one team's been on fire. They've won like 6 straight or something like that. Like you're supposed to be promoting the event.
It would get the audience exciting, not
Yeah,
the
not
opposite.
start crap talking a player because they had a kid.
Yeah. And, do you know about the Pickleball Slam? Have you heard about that?
I heard about it, yeah, but I didn't get to see any of it though.
So I didn't see it, but I was able to pull out the highlights and I saw the whole match again. So this is the Pickleball Slam 2. So they already did it last year. So they did it at the same spot. So they pulled some tennis legend and then they did they have probably $1 billion prize money, something like
okay.
that.
Never mind. I was confused with something else. Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about.
So yeah, exactly. So that's they went back to the same place, which is the Hard Rock Hotel in Hollywood, Florida, which I went. It's a very nice hotel, and they have a very big venue, to host it. So which is good. So this time, they have Jack Sock, Steffi Graf, and Andre Agassi as a team. And then the other team is John McEnroe with Maria Sharapova and James Blake. And this time you can the first Pickleball Slam was pretty terrible, to be honest with you. They don't know how to play pickleball. There's I'm seeing like probably a 3.0-3.5 pickleball play. This time you can really see they're getting close to that 4.5, 5.0 level of play. They those people I can see Andre Agassi and John McEnroe did really practice playing pickleball quite a bit. And to my surprise, James Blake actually was playing pretty good. He's I would say a solid 4.5 plus player. And I think it was a good entertainment show to have some celebrity to come in and kind of promote the sport, and they have some little thing going on, saying so they can bet on the other player what they're gonna do compared to what they're gonna miss. So I think Andre Agassi was betting on John McEnroe breaking 2 paddles in the match, or what Andre Agassi is gonna McEnroe vice versa did say, oh, I guess he's gonna get body bag like 5 times, something like that. It was just fun, funny stuff. So make it more entertaining. So I will say this is a good thing. It was a good event.
Yeah, and it doesn't hurt to have 2 more charismatic members of the tennis community do it. Like Agassi's very, very charismatic. John McEnroe, obviously, from his antics when he was a player to as him as a announcer or a broadcaster, you're always going to get if not what you would call a good quote, but a trending quote from him. So, no, yeah, they picked 2 good people to do that, and I remember watching a bit of the highlights, and you could tell that they were like, okay, no, I'm going to put some effort into learning how to do this properly, because they're used to being high level competitors, even though they're both retired now. You could tell after the first one, they're like, okay, no, I actually want to be good at this so I can kick the other guy's butt next time, type of thing.
Exactly, which is good. I think they play better than Eugenie Bouchard, unfortunately.
Well, like we said, last podcast, hopefully she puts in the work, because she's got the skill from tennis. If she puts in the work,
she'll make it.
She'll make it. Like, you just look at Jack Sock, like how well is he doing, and you can tell he's been putting in the work. So that's all it takes at that point when you're that skilled.
Yeah, it's just too bad, because the past 2 PPA, wow, she didn't play the Desert Ridge, but in PPA Mesa, she got just blown out by Paris Todd, which is, yes, she's another good player, but still you got blowout 11-8, 11-0. I don't know. It doesn't look good.
Yeah.
And another thing I want to talk. So we were talking a little bit already about it. So pickleball is finally going a little bit more international. So the APP did Indian tour this time. So they brought some APP pro player, and then they kind of promoted the sport in India a little bit, and then they actually run a tournament over there just to get a little bit more exposure. So who is the main people was that was playing there? You have Andrew Diascu that was playing over there. Blanking the other guy. He was Zane Naruto's partner. Who was that? Who was that guy? Anyway, it might come back. He might come back to me. He's an Indian, and that's why the APP was able to come go over by him facilitating to it. And then that's what we're talking about for one of the CPA player, because now PPA did announce a pro tour in Australia, so they're gonna make their own pro tour in Australia. So now I don't know if she's gonna have time to come to play the CPA because of it.
Yeah, because she's doing the so that's Casey Rogers. So yeah, so she's doing the MLP in Australia. We know she's doing the CPA Pro Tour in Canada. So depending on, I'm guessing, time restraints, because like I said, I don't with the MLP in Australia, I don't know how many events they're doing. I need to go back onto their website and double check, but so I don't know how long Casey's going to be staying there for. Well, obviously we know for sure that she's probably going to be back in Canada for at least the summer for the CPA Pro Tour. So we'll see. We'll see if she goes for the CNPL, because the nice thing about the CPA Pro Tour and the CNPL, they're both roughly the same time. Like they're different weeks, but they're at least the same time. So if she's going to be there for that, she might still be doing both. But it was just awesome to see her go to Australia and participate in that. I did get to see a few of the matches of the MLP in Australia. It is on YouTube. There were some pretty good matches in that. Commentary was pretty good. It's always fun to listen to that Aussie accent. I wish I could do that accent, but I'm horrible at it. So, but no, it was really good to watch. Casey held herself pretty well. Her team didn't make it to the finals in that, but it was pretty good. So I'm excited to see how the PPA does.
Yeah. Okay. I just got the name. This was Afnat Marchand.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, he's Indian, so that's why they're able to go there. And then just not long ago, a couple of days ago, the APP announced they call the Atlantic Cup. So basically, it's going to be they do a team world against Team USA. I think it's going to be somewhere in April, because that's an interesting thing to get that international. And then one more thing that is not from PPA or APP, another entity that came in to do a Pickleball World Series, and this one they're gonna have some play in 6 continents in the world, and they're gonna have $1 million prize money. So a lot of people is kind of questioning how that $1 million prize money gonna come from. So it's gonna be interesting. If there's that much money involved, I would say that will probably draw quite a bit of a pro player kind of playing, and that also gonna take a good incentive to the other country that will be hosting those events to have players to play in those events. So I think if this is real, and that they make it as a reality, that will probably propose the pickleball into that Olympic scenes.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, let's hit it. So I did a couple. I was able to gather some new information on some paddles. So one of them, the Pickerel. So be careful. There's so many paddle acronyms that are pretty much the same. So they have the PICKL, and then they have PICKK, and there's this one, the PIKKL. So don't get confused. They just, I don't know why they do that, but anyway.
Well, they're all trying to have pickle in the name, but there's only so many ways you can do the acronym.
Yeah, exactly. So this one, the PIKKL. So this company actually is sponsoring two major pros, which is the Gabe Tardio and Tyra Hurricane Black, that's using this paddle. So they finally gonna do something interesting. So what they're gonna do, they have, we call an interchangeable paddle face. So basically, in your like we all know, we have raw carbon fiber, or even especially with the grit, the spray grit surface paddle, the grit will wear off eventually, and then the paddle is gonna lose spin. So this innovation was gonna be, if your paddles start losing spin and stuff like that, you can peel that surface off and put the new surface back on. And then now you're gonna have your grit back. You have a refresh grit and spin and everything. So that, I would say, that's a pretty interesting concept they're gonna do. How they're gonna get this passed by the USAP, I don't know yet.
Yeah, so it will. it does open up the possibility for possible cheating. The fact that you can remove the face and put the face back on, so they're going to have a way to test for that to make sure you didn't like squirt a little extra substance in there when you put the new face on or whatever. Whether that would create an advantage or not, but there's always something, right, that you could probably do. So it does open up the opportunity for that because it's easier to then tamper with the product. Whereas most paddles, aside from putting some lead tape on, you can't really mess with them too much aside from doing some hot or cold treatment, which are a little bit easier to detect. So
yeah, in theory, if you read the rule book from the pickleball rule book, you shouldn't have anything that can be removable from the paddle surface itself. So therefore, it's kind of like into this rule. So I don't know how they're gonna get away from this. Time will tell. And they're actually gonna come out in, I think, tomorrow or something like that. That paddle and that paddle face. So we'll get more information what as it comes out. And then Engage came out with some two new paddles, the Evolution Extreme V2 and the Pursuit Max. I would say if you have the Pursuit Pro already, you shouldn't be looking on those two paddle because they're just cheaper and lower end models of the Pursuit Pro. They're cheaper. They're about $160 US. The Pursuit Max is $200 US dollar, but they actually don't give you as good performance as the Pursuit Pro. So therefore, for me, I'm probably not gonna look into that. Gamma is making some new paddles finally. So they have the RCF Obsidian. They have the 10, 13, and 16 millimeter. They are Gen 2 paddles. So they have thermoform, form injecting on the sidewall. The price is pretty decent, $160 US dollars. I'm just interested on the 10 millimeter. That seems a little bit thin. I don't know how the twist weight is going to be. How's your sweet spot's going to be? It's going to be probably quite. It's going to be fast, but how you're going to hit the ball is going to be a different story.
Yeah.
And but this is not the most important one. The most important one is we call the airbender. So what's the RCF airbender? A lot of people is actually getting a lot of traction. So this paddle basically, I'll just bring the Selkirk 002 and then I'll show it. So on this paddle basically, so if you look at the 002, you have that throw that have the space in there, right? So in that airbender, basically they have almost like two throw in there, and you can actually add weight directly in those area, different weight on the center, and then you can also change the butt cap, having to add weight also on the butt cap. So which is kind of an interesting concept to try to change the twist weight and the swing weight of the paddle rather than some other company like the Adidas Metabone that you have to actually change a little bit of weight here, where you can just add lead tape, which is much easier. So that's an interesting concept, but it's at the same time pretty expensive. So we're talking about the $200 US dollars, and on top of that, you're gonna have to buy some weight by your own. They only make 3, 6, and 9 grams, so which is not a lot, unfortunately. I wish they have a better variety of it, and you have to pay an additional $25 US dollars for a pack of 3 of them. So anyway, it's interesting. I will say that's a good innovation, but we'll see how it will perform. And then you have the paddle tech. We already have the NLE Waters version. So the one that now currently NLE is playing is hitting like a rocket, but it has a very short handle, unfortunately. So now they're gonna have a new. They're gonna have the new one having the elongated shape. It's called the TKO C. at 14.3 millimeters. So basically, it's an elongated paddle. And Christian Alshon is actually playing with it since he's signed with now Paddletech instead of that coming from Diadem. And Andrea Coop also has re-signed with Paddletech, and both are using the TKOC paddle, and seems to they're hitting pretty hard with that paddle. So which is another, finally Paddletech is doing something good, I would say. Has been a while. Another new company, if you happen to following Pickleball Studio, Chris Ocean was talking about that 11624, which is a really weird name. Why, I don't know why they did that, but anyway, so that's a new paddle company. They have three different paddle, but the main one is the Hirachi X Control Plus. So basically, this paddle is plays very close to the double black diamond, but the only difference is this paddle has we call it 3-layer. They have a carbon fiber, and then they have the honeycomb, and then they put another layer of carbon fiber in them. So it has a really different, unique feel of the paddle, and also it has a slightly better pop than a double black diamond. So it's good, and the price is pretty good. $140 US dollars is pretty cheap. And if you have you're military like me, you can bring the they give military discount, and you can bring the paddle to $90 US dollar. So which is
there you go.
That's a steal almost. I can say.
Oh no, yeah, exactly.
What else I can say? 6-0 is gonna launch elongated shape paddle, and they're gonna collaborate with Wilchen. So Pickleball Wilt, which is a partner with Pickleball Studio. Nothing else I'm gonna say about that. If we talk about the Walker sister, they're using the Proton. They're actually using the Proton Series 1. What was the difference between, they have 3 series 1, 2, and 3. So series 1 is we call the nanotech. Series 2 is purely graphite and grip surface, which is actually a step back from what the new paddle are. Series 3 are the carbon grit paddles, so all the Gen 2 paddles. So what's different with the Series 1 nanotech is what they are doing right now is they using almost like a rubbery surface on this paddle, almost like a ping pong paddle. If you look at some ping pong paddle, their rubber is very grippy, right? So that's why you're able to shape like the ball really, like you see that some videos, some crazy spin coming from those paddle, right? So they actually be able to replicate it on the pickleball paddle and passing like the grit and deflection and every test from the USAP. So this is a pretty interesting paddle. The only downside is like it's $250 US, which is pretty expensive. And I just checked, they just recently increased it to $280 US dollar. So anyway, and on top of that, I was listening on some of the Discord channel. Most of the people still like they ordered that paddle almost like 2-3 months ago, and they still couldn't have it because they have a problem with manufacturing in China. So I would say good luck getting that paddle.
Yeah.
So that's not
that is interesting. That is interesting though, because like the way I usually describe pickleball for people who haven't played, I said think giant ping pong.
Yeah.
Is literally what I say. And as someone who used to play a lot of ping pong, that's pretty interesting to see the rubberized bips. That would be
it's gonna be is interesting. If I would say that's a new innovation from all, like we're all getting used to that black paddle, but this one, because you have you can put that rubberized surface, you can put whatever colors in there. So so that's why you have some fuchsia color, pink color that they actually put like lime green color on those paddle. So makes a unique touch. It's interesting. Another good news from some paddle is the oil paddle, the old paddle. So the paddle was saying that it was like the quiet paddle. Now it's finally getting approved for tournament play. So I think they just figure out like if there's not tournament play, no one's gonna buy that paddle. So
Yeah. So
they're-
they must have made enough changes to make it tournament approved. I am still interested. I want to see someone who has this. I just want to go over and feel it, just to see what
yeah.
this kind of like fabricy type base feels like.
I'm
I'm very curious.
I'm going in the state in May. I'm probably gonna buy one, and then I'll let you I'll let you feel it. Anyway, we'll see. Nike's making some pickleball shoes. Unfortunately, it's actually the Nike Zoom Challenger style, which is kind of a lower end shoes. It's not like as good as I say the Skechers Vipercore Pro. So I won't say is worth the investment to go buy a Nike pickleball shoes. You're probably still better off buying a Nike tennis shoes at this point, unfortunately, because they didn't do anything special except putting like some pickleball pro graphics on it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's $120 US dollars, so it's not cheap here.
No.
Anyway, Diadem actually is making some pickleball shoes. So this one is a little bit more interesting. It's a little bit more expensive. It's $150 US dollars, but they actually put some EVA foam into the heels of that shoes. So if people knows about EVA foam, they have a very big rebound. So it like especially on paddle, which there's one paddle is like full EVA foam. It's the Diadem Vice. That paddle is like hits like a freaking rocket. If you hit the balls, there's almost no way you're gonna dodge it. So it's because of that EVA foam, that rebound, that this deflection is going. So they put that EVA foam on the heel. So probably people that's having some plantar fasciitis, that could actually help, I will say, for this matter.
I just find it interesting that it's in the heel when you shouldn't be. Your heel
it should be more in the front, right? It should
yeah, well, because if you're playing any sport,
especially in dinking, right?
Yeah, if you're playing any sport properly, you shouldn't be. Your heels should barely be touching the ground in general. Like
Yeah.
you're fast, like like you'll. It's the term "getting caught flat-footed" is in reference to that, because like for me, who played college basketball, but I also played softball, baseball, volleyball, all that stuff. You're taught to run, to jump, to react, and be on what they call the balls of your feet. So like the upper part of your feet. So for me, it would make more sense to have it in the front.
Yeah.
If you're talking about for comfort and for foot protection, because like if you think about where do you wear down your pickleball shoes the most? At the ball of your foot, or on the sides from doing lateral side to side, but it's still on the ball of your foot area, because you should be on your toes all the time. Because you want to react properly. Anytime you get caught flat-footed, it's literally because you've let your heels touch the ground and you can't move as quickly, because you have to get those heels off and slide. So I'm guessing that would be more so catered to, once again, not to be ageist, but to be a little bit older people who are standing more flat-footed, dinking back and forth, because it is harder to keep those heels up as you get older, just because muscle loss and muscle deterioration as you get older as a person. But and that's where I could see like the plantar fasciitis and stuff coming in. But yeah, like if they want to push this for more pro players, I'd say get that foam in the front of the shoe.
I agree with that. What else? Since I'm one of the VADC ambassador, I was able to get some info about VADC. VADC is actually making a new core. It's called the Omni. So basically, that new core is going to be a little bit poppy. So the problem with most people like me, I like playing with my VADC. The problem is, it's a very good control paddle, but it does not have power, does not have pop. It's way too soft. So finally they're gonna make a new core, so that's gonna be a little bit poppier, so they will kind of generate a little bit more power. So they're still gonna do the same two shape, the Flash and the V7. So the Flash is the hybrid, and the V7 is gonna be the elongate shape. When they're gonna come out, we don't know yet. It's probably gonna be a late spring. And then finally, that's what there's a reason why I put that finally, is the Selkirk Vanguard control just came out a couple days ago. Basically, this paddle is another elongated shape paddle. Well, not necessary. You have the Epic, you have the S2 shape, and then you have the Invicta. But basically, this paddle, I feel like Selker is getting really slow at their game. This is like a Gen 1 paddle. There's no thermal foam. There's no edge foam. And then trying to sell that paddle to $200 US. Well, you can buy other paddles cheaper, like even your paddle that your company and Nvidia. I would say even better than that your paddle will actually perform even better than this paddle. And they're selling a 200, like they advertise it is like, oh, it's gonna be our newest paddle, has the newest technology in it. But if you read it properly, this is like a 2022 paddle that they came out, and that has nothing special on it. I did play with it yesterday. It has a very high swing weight, so 123. So for your information, 115 is 115 is usually your where you want to range your swing weight to be. So swing weight means how much effort you're gonna have to use to swing that paddle. When you're beyond 120 of swing weight, means is that paddle is very heavy to swing. And usually paddle that has a very high swing weight should have a lot of power or pop. But that's not the case with this paddle. There's not enough power. Even the control was very difficult because it's very difficult to swing. And then at the net, I'm losing every time at hand battle because it's so hard to swing. So I was like, why did they release that paddle? Why didn't just release a better version of the 006? Because that they were supposed to be saying that's supposed to be the 006 improved version, but actually it's not. It's like a step back version from what they already released. So anyway, that's my take. So Selker, make something good, please, because otherwise you're charging us for probably just for your lifetime warranty, but anything else.
They're charging for the brand name now.
Well, yeah, they have all the pros, right? But
yeah, exactly. All right, so that's pretty much it. One little quick announcement: Catherine Parenteau now has her own YouTube channel. And she's got like tutorials and stuff on there. Obviously, match highlights. If you're a huge Catherine Parenteau fan, you can watch that stuff. So that's interesting. I'm already following her on that. Other than that,
is she follow you back?
I wish. No, not yet. So far, the only like PPA pro I got following me is Paris Todd. So I'm still stoked about that. I do have a lot of our Canadian pros following me though. Good. So which is awesome. I've loved the support from them. I like Brad Chapman, Kim Layton, Christina Chin, all those guys follow me. So big shout out to them that they keep growing the sport here and the fact that they're supporting our little nice small podcast here. So other than that, is that everything we got, Victor, for this one?
Yeah, I think we're good.
Perfect. All right. So we will have another podcast this month, guys. It'll be after me and Irene get back from the CNPL qualifiers in Vernon. That's 2 weeks from now. Victor, do you have any tournaments or anything coming up you're going to?
Yes, I have the the Irish from Stony Plain. I will be only playing in men's with my partner, regular partner Lester, and I'll be reffing. So it's gonna be interesting.
Right on. Watch for the ball skips on that concrete floor.
Oh yeah, I will. Don't worry. Well, you know, with my big serve, it's gonna be fun.
Yeah, your big serve is gonna be an issue for some people because it's literally gonna hit and then shoot out on them though. So, so you guys should have some fun with that. No, yeah, I wasn't able to go for that one this year just due to work. So, but it's a good little spot. Hopefully they learned from last year and get their scheduling down because they jumped from like I think it was 100 people the first year to like 200 something last year. And you could tell they got a little overwhelmed with scheduling everything to make sure everything ran on time. So, but they probably learned from last year, and hopefully it goes nice and smoothly for you.
Yeah, still 200 people I saw on the registration, but I think they just capped it. They capped it at 200 this time.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea just because of the number of courts they have. So, all right. All right. Well, thanks for joining us, everyone. We will see you guys at the end of the month. We're starting to get into the thick of it now with season, so you're going to be seeing a couple more podcasts a month now coming up. So,
Thank
all
you,
right.
everyone.
Thanks,
See
Victor.
you
We'll
later.
see you next time.
Thanks, Andrew. See you.